Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everything is going well this afternoon. Hopefully the quality is a little better, and we'll start with a little sound test. Elevator music sound test. So let me know if it's way too loud. Great. The work has paid off. Glad this works. How's the video? Video's okay? The one thing I still need to fix is I'm using a web camera now, going through a series of converters to try to make the quality good. But the one thing I'm trying to fix right now is every once in a while the white balance is a little weird, gets out of focus. But eventually I'll be using my HD camcorder. Still need to invest in stuff. Anyways, good. I'm glad this works. We're going to talk about chords. I haven't written the title yet. But we're going to talk about chords today. So back to theory a little bit. Applied theory. We're going to try to make this very practical for everyone. And as you can probably see, we are shaping some kind of some steps towards a global understanding of what theory is and how to use it. And that's why we started with intervals. By now I hope that we're a little bit more clear on intervals, which is used to define the difference between two notes. And you know now that without intervals we wouldn't have much feelings in music, because a note by itself is just a sound. But now if we have a sound in relation to something else, that sound becomes something meaningful. Whether that something else is played at the same time, like a chord, or just a single note that is heard in relation to another note played before or after in a melodic line. Just keep that in mind. A note by itself doesn't mean anything. The note has its significance, its meaning, depending on what it's played over. And that's super important. If you get this, then you'll see that a single note, a sound, a pitch, whether it's A, B, C, D, D sharp, or whatever it is, can have tons of different meanings. And that meaning is not shared with people with the way that note is played, but it's shared with the relation that that note has with something else. And that's why a lead player can only be good if what's happening in the back is supporting that, because a lead by itself, again, is a note by itself is nothing. Okay, so if we'll see if this freezing problem keeps going or not. I hope it works out okay. Let me switch to a cleaner sound, because since we're going to talk about chords, we want to be able to dissociate each sounds heard in the chord one after the other. So I'm even going to kill the delay there. That's going to be even better for people to hear what's going on. So that's that being said, we're going to talk about chords. And the reason why last week we talked about scales is that a chord, in order to make sense, needs to be built from a scale. We can't just randomly pick notes here and there and make a chord. We could, but we could take any notes here and there, but then probably the chord is not going to make much sense. That is a chord. Anytime you have two or more notes played at the same time, it's a chord. But in order to master those chords, we need to have that in relation to a scale or a key, a system. That's very important. That's why last week we talked about scales. Um, Bass, really, bass. You've got a bass 25. You've got a question. Yeah, both links were posted on YouTube. If you missed them, I will after um, tomorrow or Tuesday. I'll post a reminder for everyone with all three links all together with the first, the second, and this session, which I'll edit and put it on. Okay, let's get started. And in order to get started, we're going to go back to our DNA pattern. So as we draw the DNA pattern, it would be good for you to kind of review in your head, mentally kind of review this DNA pattern. You've got to have that really clear in your head. So in order to have the system, we need to start somewhere, right? In order to measure the height of a tree, we need to measure it from somewhere, from the roots of that tree. So the root is going to be found in anything you're doing. Any scale, any chord, any melodic line needs to be played in reference to something else, and that something is the root. So the root is going to be found in everything. It's from that root that we're going to measure everything else. So we have 7 types of intervals. Not going to go back to this. We've seen this before. So the root, which is the first one, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, seventh. And then if we keep going, the eighth will be just like the root, but played higher on the fretboard. So 7 types of intervals. These intervals have subcategories: minor intervals, major intervals, perfect, minor. So if this is the root, what comes after the root? The second, and there's 2 types of seconds, right? There is one of the seconds is a little bit higher than the other one, and that's the major second. So the major, we'll put on this line all the major intervals, and right here we'll put all the minor intervals. After the second, we've got the third, and same thing, we have 1/3 that is a little bit higher than the other one, and that's the major third. After that, you remember there are some exceptions here. After the third, we have the fourth, but the fourth is not major, it's not perfect. The fourth is perfect. So it's kind of like the root. The root is perfect. There's just one root. There's just one reference point. Same for the fourth. But in order to fit more scales in the pattern, there's some exceptions here. The fourth can be higher than the fourth, and it's not going to be major. It's going to be even higher, and it's augmented. So there's one right here, and there's one right here, which is diminished. Same for the fifth. There's a perfect fifth, an augmented fifth, and a diminished fifth. The sixth is major or minor, and the seventh is major or minor, and then we have the octave right here, which is just like the root. So you got this. This should be in your mind. This should be all set in stone. Here are the major intervals. My line is not very straight, but hopefully that makes sense. Here are the minor intervals. So that's the second, the third, the sixth, and the seventh. And then here we have the ones that are higher than the major. What is higher than major? If I have a major problem, it's even more than a major problem. It's the problem escalated. It's augmented, an augmented problem. That's a very big problem. So these are the augmented ones. We'll call them these aug. Oops. Sometimes they're called sharp. So there's 2. There's the fourth and the fifth. This is cool. I don't have to turn to you to talk to you with that thing. Hopefully it works okay. And then here we have the diminished, also called flat sometimes. So for the diminished, we have the same thing. The fourth and the fifth are diminished. And these are perfect right here. And the octave is perfect. And so that's music theory DNA, right? We've seen that before. And we're going to work this. We're going to work on this in order to understand how chords are built. There's a few rules when you're building chords. Now, keep in mind that what we're going to talk about today, we're going to consider the rules as unbreakable. But you know that in music you can break anything, right? So whatever I say, if I tell you that you're not allowed to do this, keep in the back of your mind that, of course, you are allowed to do anything you want in music. But if you're aware of it, it's better. And so that's why I'm just going to go by we're going to set rules. Just keep in mind you're allowed to break them. Most often, if you break rules that have been set, you're going to sound a little bit tensed, a little bit different. But different is good. But in order to have a controlled type of playing that is different, you need to know the rules, and that's what we're going to talk about today, just the regular rules. If you have something to write on, it's going to be beneficial. So take notes as we go. I'll try to recap and leave some sections in this hour and a half so that you can ask questions. But we're going to write a few rules that we can deduce from this theory thing. The first rule that you can see is that whether we're talking about a scale, and that scale is going to be a succession of notes that are going to be placed on that DNA, but whether we're talking about a scale or a chord, same thing but played at the same time, we're going to have a starting point right here. And the starting point is the root. So rule number one, we need to have a root. The root is super important. So this root right here, people need to be aware of it when we're playing. And this is whatever we're playing. If we're playing a lead or a jazz piece with different chords, people need to know what the root is. And how can people know what the root is? There's several ways to doing it. If I grab my guitar, one way is to play that root always as a constant reminder in a piece like this, for example. What is the root? That's the root. And you can hear it because all the chords that I'm playing are measured in relation to that constant bass tone. It's a constant reminder. So that's one way to emphasize on the root. Another way is to play your piece, and first maybe you want to accentuate the root a little bit so that the listener kind of has that root in the back of its mind, but then kind of forget about that root. Don't play it, but the listener had that root ingrained right at the beginning that anything else you're going to play is going to be measured in relation to that root that you established at the beginning. For example, let's consider this note our root, and I'm going to start playing a little bit, emphasizing on that root. That's the root, right? Because I always kind of go back to it, and even when I was in the middle of the piece, your ear wants to bring everything back to the stable point, that root. So that's another way to bring the root into attention. So the root needs to be implicitly said or stated. The listener needs to have that root in mind in order to have a piece of music that makes sense. Implied root. Okay. That's rule number one. There's another rule that we can kind of deduce from this. We have talked about this music theory DNA thing, but there's one thing that is really important, and It's this. And again, I'm going to state something that is a rule, but remember you can break it. But if you look at this, we have 7 types of intervals. We have this is the root, right? And there's just one root. If I drew a line right there that fell, it's just one right there. The second, there's 2 types of seconds, and that's it, right? They're 1, 2. Same for the third. So we're going to draw a line across here and just see the different types of intervals that we have. So on this line, this would be the fourth, and there's 4 types of fourths: the perfect, augmented, diminished. Same for the fifth. The sixth, there are 2 types of sixths. Seventh, 2 types, and the roots, there's just one type of root. Why? Because, well, this note is really this one. So I'm going to color the octave in red so that we can remember that this note plays the same role as the root. It's the same thing. A short demonstration of that would be me playing a piece again with that root and the background. This is the root. If I play that note an octave higher, what do we have? All the notes are brought towards this note. Even though it's played an octave higher, it has the same function as the root, okay? But the reason I did this, these lines that fall, is to show you that if we have a scale or a chord that is made of a root, and then, so these are the seconds. We'll put it here. Thirds, fourths, fifths, sixths, sevenths. This one we won't count it because it's like the octave. If we had a chord that is made of a root, a chord or a scale, a root, a major third, right here. Well, this third line is already taken. You're not allowed to have 2 types of thirds. So if you started doing this, I would tap on your finger because you're not allowed to do it. And remember, when I say you're not allowed, you do whatever you want. But we'll pretend that you're not allowed. So only one space can be taken there. Okay. Let me pause for a second so that Aliv123 can grab his stream again. So let's all drink some coffee. Waiting for Aliv. Aliv, you still there? Aliv. Merci. Okay. So only one space can fit. That's rule number 2. Does everyone have this diagram in their minds? All right, let me grab, where is it? Uh-oh. Okay, I'll be right back. I forgot something. I'll be right back. I'm back. And now everybody's wondering, is this really live? No, it is. I grabbed this, but it was just the back of the room. Okay. I realized that this diagram is taking too much space. But that's okay. If everyone's clear on this, I'm going to delete it. And unfortunately, it's not working. The joys of lame jokes. Okay, so if everyone's good on this, we're going to do a smaller version of that. Because we're going to write a bunch of different rules that we're going to use. Somewhere in the back of your mind is a beautiful place. with flowers, mountains. No, actually, somewhere in the background of my mind is this. Should be this. Should be dreaming about this. Then we're going to have some stuff falling here. And you can only pick one type of these, right? Just like we just talked about. All right, let's write a scale. Yeah, let's write a scale. So we got a scale with a root. By the way, it doesn't matter if you know the name of the scale or not. This is the same. We're going to write a scale, a 7-note scale. So what is a 7-note scale? A diatonic scale, right? It's a diatonic scale. So we're going to write a scale with a root, major second. What type of third do you guys want to do? Doesn't matter. Major, minor, you pick. You build your scale there. We're going to fill all the blanks there. Minor, call that minor. Minor third. The fourth. So you can play a perfect fourth, an augmented fourth, a minor fourth. Let's do a perfect fourth. We're going to make things simple because the diminished fourth and the major third the same. We don't want to confuse people, but we're going to keep these perfect, make these simple so that they actually fit one of the church modes. Then we need a sixth. Let's just make a pure minor scale. So we've got a root, major second. I'm sorry, I wrote major third there. You're right. Sorry about that. Okay, well, let's do a minor. We can change things. It's okay. The more things we change, the better, because we've got 90 minutes together and I don't have to to pick my brain too hard to know what am I going to tell them. So yeah, we'll have a minor third. I did that last week too, but that was a test last week and it was a test this week too. Okay, root, major second, minor third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth. Let's do a minor sixth and a minor seventh. This is the diatonic scale. By the way, I see a lot of people on YouTube teaching like the major scale and they play 8 notes. That's not the major scale. Major scale stops there because this is really the root played an octave higher. But just to make things symmetrical, you know, we put it there. But I'm not going to draw it because I'm not going to, I don't want to confuse people. This is diatonic scale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. If I were to play this, this is what we have. I've got a root, and I can pick my root anywhere. Roots can move around, right? But we will play an A because guitar players know how to play an A and E. We have really 2 options. More than that, really. But we'll play our root. Major second, minor third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, minor sixth, minor seventh. And we have a 7-note scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We could take this diagram, this shape, and move it, like copy, paste right here, and it would continue an octave higher. Right? So we can continue all over the fretboard, but it would be the same notes repeated over and over. That's pretty much all we would have, right? So, if we have this, what kind of chord or chords could we play? And we're not going to get into naming the chords. We don't care. what are the options we have as far as chords? Well, really we have 7 notes to pick from. Can I pick this? No, because this is not included in the scale. Chords are extracted from scales. And I'm going somewhere with this. But for example, we could pick this note right here, which is a root. We could pick this one, which is a minor third. You could pick this. Could we? Could we pick this one? Yeah, any of the red notes we could. We'll make this simple. A basic way of building chords is to skip a note of the scale each time, and I'll tell you why in a second. But we're going to build a 4-note chords by taking this one, skipping that to this, skipping that to this, which is a perfect 5th, skipping the 6th to the 7th, which is a minor 7th. This is a 4-note chord. So why do we skip notes? Well, we skip notes generally speaking because when you play a note, a pitch, and you were to analyze that note, you would see that it's made actually of a lot of frequencies, different frequencies in that note. And that's why, you know, on the computer you could see those frequencies kind of moving. Some are faster than others, and that's why we call them on a computer a wave file, because those are the frequencies. The frequency of this note and the frequency of this note are different. Each note is different, has a different frequency, or a different set of frequencies. If we were to play this note and this one at the same time, the frequencies will be pretty close to each other, and the human ear has trouble distinguishing frequencies that are too close to each other. It sounds kind of like this. Oops, sorry, like this. So 2 notes that are too close to each other, they kind of get confusing. Now, if I were to space these by skipping one of these notes, one of these frequencies, then the human ear has less trouble understanding what's going on, and instead of sounding like this, it sounds like it's a little better because the frequencies are further apart. This is easier to understand than this, right? And that's why we skip the note. So this is a passable chord here. It would sound like if we had our root on A, and our scale is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'd be playing 1, 3, 5, and 7, which is an arpeggio, by the way. If we play these notes together, that's what we have. We have a chord. So if you're with a buddy and you have this scale that you discovered or made up, then I would tell you that you didn't really make it up. But if you think you made it up, you can make up this chord by skipping notes and tell your friend, I've got an awesome song. You're going to play this. What you can play as lead player is any of the red notes. And it would all work, right? Because everything is fitted together. Everything's fine with this? Okay, I'll assume that everything is cool. I'm going to take the opposite problem now, which is a question that I'm asked all the time. The question that I'm asked all the time is, I've got this chord, or I've got this chord progression. I have no idea what I'm going to play with. What kind of solo I'm going to do over this. What kind of scale I need to use. It's so simple that people think that it's more complex than it is, and they ask me all the time. But now you're going to be able to do it. So anytime I get this question, I'm going to forward it to you guys, and you'll answer for me. But again, it all has to do with this. My DNA diagram is getting worse and worse as we go through the lesson, but that's okay. Let's say that we have a chord that is made of these notes. Actually, let's do this. I'm going to play a chord here, and I'm going to give you the shape of the chord. Let's say that we have a chord that is made of. I will start from the 6th string, being the lowest, from 6 to 5, and I'll give you the diagram. The first string, you're not going to play it. The next one, you're not going to play it. And then on the next one, you're going to play fret number 7, followed by, on the next string, you're going to play fret number 4. Next one, you're fret number 4 again. And the first string, you're not going to play anything. So we have this chord there. I hope this system makes sense there. Low string, low E string, X, nothing. The 5th string, nothing. The 4th string, you're going to play fret number 7. The next string, fret number 4. The next one, number 4. Let's say that we have this chord. We have a song that is made of this. You don't know what to play. Well, let's take our DNA diagram, and we'll consider this first note on the 4th string, 7th fret. We'll consider that our root, which is filled out right here. The next note, it's a major second. If you're not sure how to figure out if this is a major second, minor third, or whatever, go back to the intervals lesson and take a look at the included lesson that is in your masterclass ticket called intervals. It's going to give you all those shapes. But we have, what is this? It's not a third. This is a major second, so it's going to be this one right here. What do we have next? This note is an augmented 4th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, augmented right here. And that's what we have in that particular chord. And again, it doesn't matter if you can learn it or if you know the name of it or not. It doesn't matter. Yeah, you all have the applied theory. You should. If you don't, if it didn't work, then email me. But yeah, it should work. And the first lesson you need is intervals. Within the applied theory for guitar players, there's a PDF file that tells you in which order to learn all these. But this is our chord, and it sounds like this. So, now that we have this, we need to find what kind of lead to play over this. I'm going to open my sequencer really quick, and I'm going to record just a short vamp using that chord. And I'm sorry, I should have done this before, but I really want people to understand what's happening. So I'm going to create a very short, quick backing track here. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to add... Actually, I don't need to do a short backing track. I'm just going to record a crappy backing track. Because we don't need something fancy here. Oops, sorry, I didn't want to do that. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that. Sorry, I'm stuck. Uh-oh. I'm going to have to cut my microphone for a second. All right, let's forget about that. It's just kind of complex because I'm streaming the audio and my guitar through a sound card that is going to another sound card. It's kind of messy. Well, let me try again, if you guys are okay with me trying. Oh, it was stereo? Yeah, but wasn't there a delay when I did that? 1, 2. Wasn't there a delay? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2. Yeah, there should be a delay, right? Can you hear a delay? No? 1, 2, 1, 2. Can you try? Can you hear? There is a delay? Yeah. And I can hear it through my speakers. So I'm going to go back to this. Okay. For now, I'll see if I can fix the issue for next time. All right, let me record this short backing track, just that chord that we just talked about. One, two. Okay, sorry. 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, I'm going to just record a short backing track with this chord that we just played. Beautiful song. Maybe if I arpeggiated, huh? Ooh, it's not working. Can you still hear my voice? Can you still hear my voice now? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yep. Okay. Let me record this backing track. Oh man, this is bad. Embarrassing. Okay, so that's our backing track with that chord that I just showed you earlier. We have the chord, which is what I just played. Dun, 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 dun. We need to fill in the other notes for a scale. So how are we going to do that? Well, this is already taken. So this does not change. We already have that note, and that's a root. The next note is already taken. Remember, we can't fill two spaces, and this is a major second. The third is not taken, and we can choose. So we'll see after. The fourth is an augmented fourth, so we'll put a sharp 4. The fifth is not taken yet. The sixth, not yet. The seventh, not yet. So we get to pick here. What do we want here for the third? Do we want a minor third or a major third? Doesn't matter because it's not indicated by the chord, so it's your choice. You have the ability to choose the color of your improv on that backing track. So would you like a major third or a minor third? Major third. What about the fifth? So there's no major fifth, so we'll do a perfect fifth. The sixth, major or minor? For the sixth. You pick. And then we can change things a little bit if we want, just knowing that the black notes are tied, they're locked. Yeah, but what about the sixth? Major sixth? And then the seventh, major seventh, minor seventh? We'll try the flat sixth after. What about the seventh? Major seventh or minor seventh? Major seventh. There's no wrong answer there. The only wrong answer would be to change the fourth because it's already indicated by the chord, and those notes are going to clash, and that's what happens in the blues, for example. But that's cool. That's a different story. But let's try this scale now. So we have the locked notes are these. This one is locked by the chord. The second is locked by the chord. The augmented fourth is locked by the chord. The other notes are not locked, and they're completely up to us. And so we decided on a major third, on a perfect fifth, a major sixth, and a major seventh. Well, I didn't really need the major, but this is how it's going to sound. This is how our scale sounds like. Root, second, major third, augmented fourth, fifth, major sixth, major seventh. Let's try that over our backing track. As I'm playing this backing track, try try to listen to the relation between the note I'm playing and the backing track. It's maybe a little loud. I'll play the whole scale. And it gives you a certain color, right? And that color is determined by the relationship between the notes that I'm playing in my lead and the notes of my chord. And it gives us a color. And that's how you can explore the relationship between the chords and the scales. And yeah, very Joe Satriani type. But let's try something else now. So we know that the black notes are locked. We're going to change our red notes to other possible notes. So let's try something else now. Let's try a minor third this time. And we can, right? There's no rules that tells us that we're not allowed to do that. The only rules are given by the actual chord. So this time we're going to try a minor third. Let's keep it a perfect fifth. Let's do a minor sixth and a minor seventh. Oops, sorry, minor. I keep getting confused. Sorry about that. And this is a perfect fifth. So let's try this. Here's how this scale sounds now. We get the root, major seconds, minor third, augmented fourth, already a different color. Perfect fifth, minor sixth, minor seventh. And this is the scale. So it doesn't really have a name, but we're allowed to use it. Root, major seconds, minor third, perfect fourth, fifth, minor sixth, minor seventh. And let's try that over our backing track and see if we like the color. We're completely allowed to do it. Different color. I don't like it, but you're allowed to do it. Completely allowed to do it. The reason I don't like it is that these notes, the fifth, I'm sorry, the perfect fourth, the fifth, the minor sixth, they're very close to each other. And remember, earlier I made the demonstration, two notes that are really close to each other, kind of tensed. But if you're going for that effect, then that's the scale you want to do, because you're going to get a lot of kind of close notes, a little bit tensed. But sorry, I'm not used to that scale. But if you like that, great. But remember, if you want to fix that, if you don't really like it, or if you want to sound a little bit more traditional, again, if you like it, Clydoloptis, use it. That's perfect. That's what you want to do. There's no right or wrong, remember. But why not here, in this case, try the problem that I'm having, it's a personal problem that I'm personally having, is that I was born in a poor family, and I then It's still hard for me to talk. No, that's not the problem. Sorry, it's another problem. This is the problem that I have. These notes are really close to each other. So to fix that, I'm going to try to do this. Why not? So now we don't have this succession of notes that are all close to each other. Instead of having that, we don't have that. Now we have this, a root, major second, minor third, augmented fourth, and a minor sixth. Right? And I kind of like that. So, and by the way, what is that? 5 notes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a 5-note scale. What is a 5-note scale? 5 penta. This is some type of pentatonic scale. There's a lot of pentatonic scales. There's not just the major pentatonic scale and the minor pentatonic scale. Actually, there's a lot of minor pentatonic scales and a lot of major pentatonic scales. What makes a scale or a chord major or minor? It's that row right there. If we're dealing with the minor third here, the chord or the scale that we're using is a minor chord or a minor scale. So we could have a major scale that has minor intervals everywhere. As long as the third is major, then we have a major scale. Okay, that being said, let's try that new scale. So root, second, minor third, augmented fourth, and minor sixth. Let's try that over our beautiful backing track. I kind of like that a little bit better than the original one when we had that 5th minor 7th there. But that's one way to be creative with a chord. Unfortunately, most backing tracks are not like that. There's more than one chord, and that's where it becomes more complex. Yet, there is one benefit of having multiple chords, and we're going to see that in a second. Any questions on this? So now if you have a chord, or if you're making up a song and you have one chord and you need a solo to find a scale to build a solo, just go back to that DNA pattern and fill in the blanks. And that's how you can go with that. But also, I know that a lot of you are probably not going to write songs that are made of just one chord like I just did there. It's probably not going to be. But this, instead of having an actual just basic thing like that, maybe you writing a song and it sounds more like this. You want to build a solo over this. Well, this, even though it's a riff, you can take all these notes one after the other. We're actually going to try this really quick. Still have like 40 minutes to kill, so let's do it. Let's see how fast you can do the DNA thing. Probably can do it fast, but not very good. But we had this riff there. What do we have here? This would be considered our root. What is that? That's a 4th. So the 4th is taken. It's a perfect 4th. Then we've got a 5th. 5th is taken. minor 7th. So these notes are taken. 4th is taken, 5th is taken, the minor 7th. What scale can we use over this? Just need to fill in the blanks, right? So let's try this. I'm going to record that riff really quick and then we'll try different scales. But as I'm doing this, I'd like some volunteers to write down some scales. So the root can't change. Then you pick a second, you pick a third. So give me the formula of a scale that would work. And then we'll try several ones. And in the meantime, I'm going to record that riff. Next time I'll use loop. Which I actually could do here in Studio One, but I am not. All right, so any scales there? Did I? Oh man, sorry. Okay. Why am I doing that? Probably because I'm not working on paper, and yeah, that's a lame excuse. Thanks, Kenneth. Let's try that. So we've got a root, minor 2nd, right here, minor 3rd. The 4th and 5th are taken, minor 6th. Great, so that works. So let's try that scale. Root, minor 2nd, minor 3rd, 4th, 5th, minor 6th, minor 7th. We'll try this over our track. Oops, sorry, wrong key. We're in E. Okay, let's try another one. How about changing the 3rd to a major 3rd? It's gonna be interesting, and we'll keep the rest like it is. So it's still gonna sound a little minor to some of you because there's minor, 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 but it's still a major scale. Here's the scale. Let's try that. That's a major scale. This is actually a Phrygian dominant scale. Unrelated to anything but dominant. You've heard of dominant chords, maybe dominant scales. Dominant means major 3rd plus minor 7th. Major 3rd, minor 7th. Major 3rd, minor 7th. This is a dominant scale, dominant type of scale. This is a Phrygian dominant because if it had a minor 3rd, it would be a Phrygian. You make a Phrygian dominant. Well, the 7th is already minor. Change the minor 3rd to major 3rd, Phrygian dominant. Lydian dominant is a Lydian scale, which already has a major third. Let's change the major 7 to a minor 7. So instead of Lydian, we would have okay, let's move on. Unless you have questions. But we're going to move on to chord progressions. We're going to try something a little different. We're not going to go back to the DNA thing for now. But we're actually going to talk about notes, the naming of the notes. So let's take a chord progression made of, let's say, you know, you're just playing with your guitar and you find something pretty cool, and it sounds like 2 chords. Okay, E minor and C major. And then let's say we have a bridge or a chorus that's A minor. A B7. And back to E minor. So that's our chord progression. You're writing a song and that's how it sounds. E minor, C major, A minor, B7, E minor. And you don't know what to play over this. Here's how we're going to do this. And that's a chord progression. Of course. E minor, we're going to extract the notes of E minor. All the notes. And we'll find that E minor, we have an E, a G, and a B. These 3 notes together, E, G, and B, it makes an E minor. C major is made of the following notes. C, E, and G. 3 notes together make a C major. How did I figure out the B7? Just because it sounded good. But then you'll make your own and we'll try to analyze it just with random chords. But we'll do that in a second. A minor is made of the following notes. A, C, E. B7 is made of a B, D sharp. Where am I? And F sharp, sorry. And E minor, we already have it here, so we don't need it. Okay, so we kind of broke our chords into arpeggios. B7 is B, D sharp, and F sharp. Okay, that's our chord progressions. So I could go back to the DNA pattern and fit all these notes on my DNA board. I could do that, but I'm not going to. I want to do it a different way this time. First, we need to figure out a root. So the root can be subjective, actually. It can kind of depend on what you want to hear. But if I play these, if I just play this first chord, E minor, your ear is going to be attracted to that E. It's not going to be attracted to this note, even though that note is part of the chord. Now, if I already set the tone with that one, and I play the next chord, your ear kind of want to go back to that E again. That's the most restful note. So usually the first chord is going to determine that. But let's say that you're a little weird and you're attracted to that C. No, that's not done. That's not done. That's done. A little weird, but why not? You know, roots are kind of subjective, but we'll call this the root. Most people would like that as a root. That means that if I play my chords in whatever order, second chord, back to E minor, let's play the A minor, B7. Is that song done? It can be, but it's a little unfinished, and now it's done. So everything is attracted there. So we'll consider this the root. If that's the root, that's the note from which all the other notes you're playing, whether these notes are in the chord, they're all attracted to that A. All the notes make sense because you're bringing everything back to that E. So E is the root, so that means that our chord, our scale is going to be starting with that note. Remember earlier, we started with a single chord and we made up a series of scales that would work because we had some space that were not taken. Well, the root is taken already by the E. So we can't have a scale that starts with F. No, the root's already taken. So we're going to forget about the chords here, and we're going to look at all the individual notes that we have here. These notes make our chords. So the E is already taken. So we're just going to delete all the E's there. Okay, following the alphabet is how you build scales. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. No, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You follow the alphabet. So E is our first letter of the alphabet, and it does a big circle. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. There's no H. After G comes A, so it makes a big circle. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A, B, C, and so forth. After the E, what is there? The F. Do we have a type of F in there? Yes, we do. And it's an F sharp. So F sharp is taken. Do we have a G in there? Yeah, we do. G is the next note of our scale. So we have the root that is taken. The second is already taken. The third is already taken. After G, do we should have an A. Do we have A? Yep, right here. Do we have B? Right there. Do we have C? Yes. I forgot to delete that one. D, yeah, and it's a D sharp in this case. D sharp, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's all we have, really. It's a diatonic scale, 7-note scale, and all the notes are eliminated. That's our scale. So that means that over this chord progression, there's only one scale that's going to work. It's this one. And the scale is given to us by the chords already. We just extracted each note from each chords individually, reorganized them in alphabetical order from the root. That's our scale. So over this chord progression, we can only play this scale. I have a backing track that uses some of these chords. We're going to play over it and we'll play that particular scale. And notice we're not even talking about the name of the scale. We don't care. You can do this without knowing the names of the scales and the names of the chords, as long as you just kind of deduce from that these chords. Yeah, I'm sorry, and it was D sharp. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Actually, I don't have a backing track. I thought I did, but that's okay. I'll record these chords. So we'll do E minor, C major, E minor, back to E minor. Why not? E minor again, C major, E minor, E7. Now we'll try that scale over that. So that fits perfectly. In this case, as a lead player, you really didn't have any options, right? Because the scale was already directed by the chord progression here. It's not always the case. So I'm going to ask for a volunteer to give me a chord progression that they've been working on, and hopefully it's going to fall in the second case, but we'll see. And we're going to do this together. So does anyone have a short chord progression, not too complex, that we can work with? Thanks so much. I'm really glad that this is working well. So let's not make this too complex, just a short example that we can use. Anyone has something to share with the rest of the class? This is a show and tell, kind of. Great. Thank you. That's perfect. F major 7. C major. And A minor. Let's do it this way. Let's do the Josh's one also. So we have E major. We'll do Josh's after. Well, F major 7. So extract the chords. We have F. Extract the notes, I mean. F, A, C, E. C major is made of C, E, G. A minor is made of A, C, E. Our root is going to be F, but really it doesn't matter at all. Whether it's F or C or A minor, it doesn't matter. It's however you feel it, but we'll just consider it's F. So here's our chord progression. We're going to record it and see what happens. In A minor. Great. Let's make a scale out of that. So we'll use F as our root, our tonal center, which is the note that we're bringing everything to. F is taken, and we notice that we just have one F. What's after F? G. Do we have a G or some type of G? Yes, it's right here. A. Do we have a B? Nope. That's good. Great example. Do we have a C? Yes. Do we have a D? No. And do we have an E? Yes. Okay. So this space is taken. The root is taken. The second is taken. the third is taken, the fourth is not taken, the fifth is taken, the sixth is not, and the seventh is. So that means that here we could have whatever we want. So since this is your chord progression, who wrote this? Gwyneth Kniffen, blah, blah. Since you wrote this, you're going to have the honor of choosing what we want to have here. It has to be some form of B, but it can be B natural, B flat, B sharp. You get to pick. And then I'll go to your modal chord progression in a second. But would you like a B? It has to be some type of B there. But you want it to be flat, sharp, B flat. Okay. B flat. Before we move on, let's play this. F, G, A, B flat, and C. That's what we have. D. We need a D here. And here's another rule. In music, when you have in music, you can't mix flats and sharps. You can, remember, rules can be broken, but we can't because we're pretending that rules can be broken. So that means that this D has to be a D or D flat. It's up to you. So what would you like to have? Kniffen, I'm sorry. You said that you wanted a B, huh? Sorry about that. So B. So D can be D or D flat, D sharp. It doesn't matter. D. Great. So that's our scale. Let's try this over our chord progression. This happens to be a Lydian scale. Feels like everybody loves Lydian. I love it too. Okay, that works. Now what if we had kept a B flat there? Is this an option we're allowed to do? Yes, because the B was not indicated at first, so we're allowed to do that. This is how it would sound. So it's multiple choices there, and that's the cool thing with some of these chord progressions. In other words, the more notes you have in a chord or a chord progression, the less options you have as a lead player. So if you have a lot of chords, it might be a little more complex to analyze these, but as a player, you really have less options. So the best backing track out there would be something like this. One note, because you can use whatever. Move to a clean sound. You can, to demonstrate this, if I have a bass pedal in E, because E is an open string and it's going to be easier for me, but you can use multiple scales. You use a minor scale, change the color to that from that minor to a major. Let's move it to harmonic minor. So you got the less notes, the least notes you have, the more options you have. Tonal center, yeah. Tonal center, tonal. Did I use another name? I don't know. Okay, Kniffen asked me a great question about modal chord progressions. The root, again, attracts all the other notes, and it's that attraction that creates the color. So if we had this backing track, and I really wanted to emphasize the fact that the root is F, I could change this chord progression to this, which means that I have an an F major 7, a C with an F on bass, and an A minor with an F on bass, because we'll hear that F constantly. All the notes are really going to be attracted to that F, and you will have a sense that, yeah, this is modal. This really emphasizes the character of the mode, the scale. Mode, scale, same thing. So instead of sounding like this, F major 7, C major, A minor, and you hear the bass doing. Now, and you hear it in those chords. Now if I keep the same chord progression, but leave an F on bass all the time, sorry, with the low bass, it'll be a little better. That all the notes are attracted to that F. If I wanted to make this chord progression sound a little bit different with this note, the C, as a modal center, tonal center, I would put a C on bass here. And this is what we would have now. So it sounds a little weird because the C and A minor are so close to each other. But if you listen to most of the guitar playback backing tracks, or a lot of them, they have a constant bass note. And that's to attract all the other chords towards that note so that you know that you're hearing the color of Mixolydian or Dorian or whatever. So most of these tracks have a constant bass. Bass note is the same. Now if I had this chord progression, the chords are attracted to that A, gives it a particular color, right? The attraction of these chords to that A makes these chords sound like that particular color, which is Dorian. And what if I change that bass to something else? Like what if I change it to a D? Different color, right? Because these chords now are attracted to that different bass note. Different bass note, different meaning. That's going to sound like Dorian. That sounds like Mixolydian. Let's make it sound like Ionian. Move the bass to a G. So that, I hope that answers your question on modal chord progressions. There's one more thing I want to talk to you before we go. I'm running out of time. Got about 10 minutes left. Might go over a little bit, but here's what I want to show you. I was hoping that one of the examples we do would fall under that exception, but I haven't seen anything yet. That's okay. Yeah, it's totally possible to do that. to have two different types of chord progressions, to have two different modes, right? Yeah. Um, so the theory for those modal chord progressions, were you here last week? I think you were, when we talked about scales. Do you remember we talked about characteristic notes? Okay, so last week we said that some modes, most modes, have some notes in common. And what makes a mode special is that characteristic note. In order to have a chord progression that is going to scream Dorian, you would have to use within that Dorian backing track one of the characteristic notes. And a good way to do that is to simply, there's several ways to doing it actually. The easiest would be to take two chords that follow each other in the harmonization of the scale, and to keep a steady bass that is going to be attracted, that's going to attract all the other notes. So for example, are you familiar with the harmonization of a major scale? C major, D minor, E minor, F major. You familiar with that? It's just a little side note. Okay, great. Good. That helps. So really we have something like this, right? Major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, and half diminished, really. This would be Ionian, the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, the 6, and the 7. So you're familiar with that, right? We're good? Just to confirm, that makes sense? Good, great. So pick a mode. Pick a mode you want to build something with. This is an easy, quick trick. Let's pick one of these: Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian. If some of you are not following, just it's okay. This is just a parenthesis. All right, let's do Lydian. Lydian is right here. A simple trick to doing that is to take, let's say that we're in G Lydian. So that means G major. The G major chord could be G Lydian, right? But if I just played this, am I Lydian? I could be, but this is not really modal. So in order to make it modal, we're going to take the next note up, which is another major, so that would be A major, G, A, and keep a G on bass. Now, this screams Lydian. Let's record that and you'll see how much it screams Lydian. If I just have the G major, it's not enough to know it's Lydian. We need to have the next one up. And this would be Lydian completely. I'm sorry, I'm in G. Okay? Does that make sense? You heard the Lydian there, right? The next one up means that these follow each other. Major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, half diminished. This is the one, the Ionian, so major. Next one up is minor. Next one is minor. Next one major, major. Half diminished. Ooh, I'm too. And major. Something like that. Let's this time let's do something in Dorian. Ionian Dorian right here. Dorian is minor. If we were in A, we'd have A minor. What is the next one up? The next one up is minor, so that would be B minor. But we're going to keep an A on bass. This would be Dorian. A minor. If I didn't have A on bass, the root is moving. I'm going to have a constant root. Instead of this, you'd have screams Dorian. If I record that, this has to be Dorian. Over this, I can only play Dorian. Okay, one exception. We're going to go a little over it today. Let me redo this. There's a few exceptions actually. So we said major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, and half diminished. Let's say that we wanted to make something that was Mixolydian, which is the fifth one. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We want to do something Mixolydian. An A Mixolydian, so that would be an A major. What is the next one up? The next one up is minor, right? So major followed by a minor, so that would be B minor. But major followed by a minor, there's another one here, major followed by a minor. So if I played A and B minor with an A on bass, this chord progression this could be Mixolydian, major followed by a minor, or Ionian, major followed by a minor. It's not enough information to know that we're only on Mixolydian, so that's not going to work. Let's look at the note before. That's a major. What is before a G? A G major with an A on bass. Is there any other major that is preceded by another major? This one is preceded by a half diminished. No, so this has to be Mixolydian. So if I played this chord progression, let's record that really quick. A major, followed by G major with an A on bass. That's Mixolydian. Because if I played major followed by minor, over the major followed by a minor, it can also be an Ionian. So let's try this. First I'm playing this, A preceded by a major, Mixolydian. Major followed by minor. Could be Mixolydian. Does that make sense? That was a parenthesis, a big parenthesis, but I hope that made sense. Okay, there's one more thing I wanted to show you really quick before we go. Let's go back to the finding the scales to a chord progression. Let's say that, sorry, we're going over now. I hope this is good. Let's say that we have this chord progression. We have an E major, followed by a G sharp minor, a major, an A major, and a B major. This is our chord progression. E major, G sharp minor, A major, B major, and then we have an F sharp major. So let me record this. E major, G sharp minor, A major, B major. We'll repeat that. E major, G sharp minor, A major, B major, and then suddenly we have an F sharp minor, F sharp major. We end with an E. So that's what we have. First step, extract the notes found in the chords. So E major is made of an E, G sharp, B. G sharp minor is made of G sharp, B, D, sharp, right? G sharp, B, D sharp. A is made of an A, a C sharp, an E. B is made of B, D sharp, F sharp. F sharp is made of an F sharp, A sharp, C sharp. So this is what we have. What's the first step? Well, the first step we just did. But we're going to find our root from which we're going to start building our scale. And again, it can be whatever, but usually I just start with the first one. Why not? So put this down. We're going to write our scale right here. We'll write it on top. E is the root. So we can eliminate all the E's there, right? That's taken. Then we have F. Do we have some type of F here? F sharp right here. And F sharp right here. Actually, I'm going to run out of space. So E, F sharp. Do we have a G? Yep. We have a G here. Do you have another one? No, that's it. Do we have an A? Yes. Problem. We have two A's. A and A sharp here. That's okay. We'll just list them in order as they appear. A and A sharp. Do we have a B? Yes, B. Do we have a C? C sharp. Do we have a D? D sharp is right here. Did I miss anything? Yeah, G, right there. G sharp. Yeah, this is G sharp. Sorry. Okay, and B is right here. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's C sharp. So that's what we have. This is a problem. This right here, that's a problem. Because this means that we no longer have a diatonic scale, we have a noctatonic scale, 8-note scales. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is a no in music. You're not allowed to do that. So really, instead of having that, I'm going to have two scales over this. But look, the A natural appears, where's the A natural? It appears right here. Do we have any A's here? Nope. We're fine. No A's here. No A's here. Here we have an A sharp. So we're going to build two scales here. The first one is going to be E, F sharp, G sharp, A, natural, B, C sharp, and D sharp. And this scale with the A is going to work on this, and that. Why does it work on this? Well, there's no A's, so we're allowed to do that, right? And we're trying to group things together. So this is going to work on all these chords. The first section of the song is going to be played with that scale. The next section on the F sharp, we're going to use the A sharp this time. We're going to still bring back, to make things simple, we're going to bring back this to an E on the root. So this scale would have to be played with E, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B, C sharp, D sharp. A sharp because there's an A sharp right here. That's called a modulation. A change of key within the song. So the first section, we're going to be used to we can use the scale E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, and D sharp. And that's going to work on these first four chords. Now when the F sharp comes, have to modulate to this scale. But to make things easier, we started that scale with the same note, so that when you improvise, you don't have to switch really quick to a different root. All you have to do is change the 1, 2, 3, 4 to an augmented fourth, which is, like you said, Lydian. So we have two scales. One is major, Ionian. And again, you don't need to know the names of the scales, you can just do it that way. The second scale is, that's the modulating note right there. And if you want to create a really smooth type of improv, you're going to try to build a musical idea within here that kind of ends on the A, and then as soon as this chord comes, to sound smart, you're going to shift it right on the note. That's a really cool trick. Let's try that on our chord progression. So I'm going to start with that scale, and as soon as I'm getting close to the end of that chord, before the modulation, I'm going to use the modulating note, the note that changes. So the way I recorded this chord progression twice, so I'm going to stay on that scale twice. And then the second time around, when I get to that B, I'm going to try to finish my sentence on the A and then changing to an A sharp. So it might sound something like this, for example. So we're going to try that. I've never played this one before, so I don't know if it's going to sound weird or not. I hope not, because it's going to destroy all my theory, but we'll see. We start with that scale. Staying there. it worked. So let me try it one more time. This time, I'm not going to think too much, but I'm going to try to let my ear guide me on the modulation. There's only one note that changes. So if you want to be safe through the two chord progressions, you can just use a sixth tonic scale. It's not a weird word. 6-note scales, just delete the A. Don't even worry about that note, and you're going to be safe for all chord progressions. But let's try it. Let's see what happens. And that's how you deal with those type of chord progressions when you have two types of notes with different alterations. You have a modulation, so you have to build 2 or 3 or 4 or more sets of scales. Usually 2 is enough. I hope this helps. So remember that everything can be brought back to the DNA diagrams. We're done. My nightfly is, yeah, it's over there. I'm going to sell it. I'm going to sell my nightfly. I'm having trouble with it. I've never really loved the tone of it. It's very comfortable, but it feels very dull sounding, no matter how many times I change the pickups. So that's the object of an upcoming video, probably. Yeah, Olive, exactly. I was just playing with the triads. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'll edit this video probably by Wednesday. I've got to, yeah, I'll try to make it happen by Wednesday, and I'll upload it on YouTube. Um, and then I'll send everybody the link. I'll send you some reminders of the previous 2 sessions. Next week we're going to talk about phrasing. This is going to be a fun lesson, just actually a musical lesson. How to take those scales and those chords and try to build something musical that is really you, which is the most important thing. And we're going to talk about how to incorporate licks to your own playing and all those kind of things. So thanks very much for tuning in. I'll see you next Sunday. If you have questions, just write them down. Review, always review. Review the intervals, the scales, all these concepts. And in a couple weeks or after this, these sessions, I really recommend that you go through the applied theory for guitar player in order and spend a week on each one of these lessons. Even if the lessons are pretty short, they're about 20 minutes each, but review constantly and do them in order. It should really help. Thank you so much, everyone. I'll see you next week. Have a great rest of your Sunday or Monday, wherever you're at. I'm going to go on a bike ride. I'll see you next time. Until then, salut.